Hey, it's Wildy. I wanted to catch up with each of the mayoral candidates so that you could actually put a face to the voice. I can chat to them on air, but you don't actually get to see who they are. So I thought this way we could get a little bit of insight into each of the candidates, and hopefully it will help you with your decision come voting time. Mayoral candidate Troy Thompson, thanks for giving me 5 minutes of your time. I'm going to start the 5 minute counter. Let's have a chat about your journey. We all know sort of where you've come from and how we've got to this point, but let's talk moving forward. Okay, we get the postal election out of the way. Say you do win, how are you going to work with a lot of the people that you've actually, been saying a lot publicly about?
Look, sometimes the truth hurts. I know that myself. I've made some mistakes, and at the end of the day, you've got to face your demons, don't you? So part of my mandate is to get back in, and people have asked me all the time, we need to know what's going on in council. Where's all our money being spent? And I want to give them that information, and I don't want to hold back. And in the past, whenever I'd say something publicly or put something in my diary, I would have legal team send me a letter and say, look, this is reputational damage to council. And that's terrible that you can't say what you need to say. And I don't like those restraints. So I'm going to try and remove all the secrecy. On day one, I'll be writing to the Minister and Premier and say, let's investigate and audit Townsville City Council, because we're in a mess. Our budget's in a mess. We're in a lot of debt, and I want to see this city move forward. The only way you can do that is clean it up. And it's no point putting a new face at the front of the desk when it's the back room that's the problem.
So how are you going to work with those old faces if you walk back into that room that all stood up and voted no confidence in you?
Look, great question. So one of the things that I will have behind me is if I get voted back in, it's people. It's the people vote. So it's really important that the people who vote for me know that I'll ask the hard questions. If I get a no from council or a motion's denied, they're no longer saying no to me. They're saying no to the people of Townsville. And that's a really important part. There's no other councillor, or no other candidate, I should say, that's come forward that can do that and have been in my position, and I guess have been such a media focus on. And I think it's really important that we really discuss the issues. I put them forward to council. We're not going to agree on everything, but what I've heard from our community is really clear and concise. They want an investigation on where our money's gone. How do you spend $800,000 on Wedgwood when you budgeted $339,000 and you took $140,000 on the door? Where's the rest of the money gone? We own the museum. The staff are paid full time, so we're missing $300,000. Where did it go? They're the questions that people in the community want to know.
And we were just talking before we started this about, being out in the community. Obviously, there's people that like you, there's people that are against you. What's that like when you go out in public and people are saying personal hatred stuff towards you?
Yeah, look, I think I brought up before, I was at a store recently and somebody come up and had a crack at me about, I guess, what I stand for. And they believe I pulled down Townsville City Council. And I remind people that we've been in this position for a long, long time. No different to when I walked into the office and I had the vote of no confidence. I walk in every day and say hello, do the decent thing. I'm not there for friendships. I'm there for business and to work and to make this city a better place. So it's not a popularity contest for me. I want to work with people, but I'll make it very clear that I represent the community, not big business and not a political party.
Do you think that will work against you, though, especially with big business going, oh, this guy said this about us, I don't know if we want to work with him?
Well, look, I guess my question to big business is, what do you got to hide? If you put everything on the table and we talk about, what your investment is, what you get out of it, what's the big problem with that? Why can't ratepayers who put $500 million into the rates revenue, why can't they know all the details of deals and what's going on? What is there to hide? And that's my big question. Why are we hiding from ratepayers? What are we hiding from ratepayers?
Well, you've been putting out lots and lots of stuff on the push now towards the postal vote. So what next if you don't become mayor? Does the door just shut and go, well, that's it, okay, I accept the decision? Or is there still more for Troy Thompson?
Oh, look, there's plenty more. We've been talking about a book deal, a TV tell-all. There's those things, but again, they're just they're just things that need to come out eventually. I'll be following through what I've been doing and holding podcasts and talking about, I guess, and talking to the community. I've done a lot of volunteer work in the last 12 months, helping people hang fence and fix kitchens and do some plumbing and lots of bits and pieces. So it doesn't end. At the end of the day, I've got to go out and find a job. And whether that's digging a hole, pouring concrete, or an executive role, so be it. I'm not going anywhere. And I intend to recontest in 2028.
Well, there you go. That's the 5 minutes. Mayoral candidate Troy Thompson, thanks for giving me 5 minutes of your time.
Thanks very much, Wildy.
It is Wildy. I'm having a chat for 5 minutes with Harry Patel, mayoral candidate. I will set the timer for 5 minutes. Here we go. Now, Harry, not your first rodeo, mate.
No.
This will be your fourth attempt to become Townsville mayor. Why do you keep coming back, mate? Why do you want to be Townsville mayor?
Because I've got passion. My heart belongs to Townsville, and I've got aspirations for Townsville. Townsville is a beautiful place. My children were born here, and I've been here nearly 40 years. And I feel that, I want to serve the council in some way, and I feel that I've got something to give to the council.
So, when you say you've got something to give, what is it? What is, Harry Patel, what is your driving force? I know you said like town's a good place and your kids, but, you've been here long enough that, where do you think we're falling down? Where do you think Townsville's losing it?
Well, I think, the mall's been demolished a few times. I mean, we got the Opera House, which is Cowboy Stadium, which is a good thing. I mean, I like the old stadium. I feel I can bring stability in the council. We've got lots of political affairs going on. I'm really independent, and I work with every team. I've known Chris Pollson, I've known Les Walker, I was speaking to Jenny Hill in the last election. I talked to anybody. I even spoke to Bob Catter in Charters Towers, and I feel that I'm a man that can look at holistic in a bigger way to Townsville to have more stability in the council.
So if you did become Townsville mayor, the current councillors, you think you could pull them all together as a group and lead them?
Yeah, I know some people in the council. Obviously, I've been through with them in the last election. There's quite a few that have been through elections. They're quite experienced. I feel, I am a team member. As I worked Townsville Hospital for over 30 years, I work as a team, and the team has to achieve the goal, and I can guide people, but I also want people, community, to tell me what they want, and we can see how much funding we got. I can talk to the state and federal government. I've been to Bali, I've been overseas, I talk to other people. The whole world is changing now, and I feel that this is a multicultural place, and I come from a big multicultural arena, because I've done culture festival, and when I go to the Cowboys, I talk to Tongans, Samoans, Papua New Guinea people, New Zealand people. I speak to people, and I've been speaking to all these people, and I think we can create a great Townsville and a beautiful.
What do you think are the most important things facing Townsvillians at the moment that they care about the most?
I feel the most important thing is stability and integrity, bringing trust in the council, and the other issues are, there's many issues. I feel water is very important. Ever since I've been here to Townsville, there's always been water restrictions, and now I notice my water pressure has been cut down. The dam is going lower and lower. We got all this backup system of the Horton pipeline. The second pipeline is not finished. I don't know why it has not been finished when it was promised. Now, we need more sustainability in water for a long term, and I feel we can work with the federal state government to create that after we got the Horton pipeline.
And what about parking? There's been a lot of talk, over the last 12 months about parking meters or things like that. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I think I just parked in the city, and I've come in the city, and people avoid a lot of the aged population. They're avoiding the city. They don't want to come here. They're finding it difficult to operate the meter to start with. You put $3, $4, $5, and you might stay for 15 minutes. What about the rest of the time? In the old parking meter, you used to have a time. So if somebody moved out, you could move in for 10 minutes to do a job at the bank.
Yep, yep.
So where is that money going? And I feel maybe we should bring in 2-hour free parking in the city to bring people back in as an experiment and see how we go. Because, I mean, Charter Stars Road has got many businesses, more than some of the places here, but they don't have parking meter.
Yep.
You can park free there. So I don't know why we got parking meters here.
Exactly. And what about like encompassing all of Townsville? How do you think you can do that well?
Well, I think the suburbs have been forgotten, and Bushland, Meat, Yerrigan, all those areas, Woods, right up to Woodstock. And I think that we need to look at the grassroots level what they need and create something that sort of pleases those people to live there, because also transport is another problem there for young people to come into town. I think we need that infrastructure of transport, more housing. The housing is a big problem in Townsville, and I feel that some of the areas that the council controls, like on Ring Road, needs to open up to create more housing, with the funding.
Well, mayoral candidate Harry Patel, thanks for giving me 5 minutes of your time.
That was quick. Thank you.
Mayoral candidate Nick Demet, thanks for giving me 5 minutes of your time, mate. I am going to set a timer, 5 minutes.
No more, no less.
No, so we'll just have a casual chat. Obviously, running for mayor, big question, and I know I've spoken about it on radio to you, but everyone, why give up the seat of Hinchinbrook, mate? Yeah. Great job, 3 years to go, your community, why would you walk away from that?
You know, Wildy, when I first got into politics in 2017, my whole mindset was I wanted to take on Hinchinbrook and leave it in a position that was way better than when I took it on. And I think we've been able to achieve that over the last 8 years. Now, I was actually thinking about running for mayor before the last state election, and just seeing the turmoil that had been happening up there at the council chambers and the situation with the outgoing mayor, I felt there was a civic duty to step forward and be a strong leader for the city. Now, unfortunately, that dragged on through the CCC inquiry, and subsequently that gentleman ended up stepping down before responding to the show cause notice. Now, this gave me an opportunity to put my hand up, and like I said, I'd been turning it over my head since the last state election. I'd really turned it over in the last 3 months, and for me, it's just doing the right thing for the city. And what's good for Townsville is good for the whole of North Queensland.
And a lot of people are going, there should be no party politics in local government, no party politics. But once again, local government, it's government. So really, it still is politics in a sense.
Oh, absolutely. It's still politics at play. Doesn't matter at what level of the government you work at. But I think what people are saying when they don't want any party politics in local government, they want you to put away all those mindsets or those issues that you'd bring up as a state member of parliament or even a federal member of parliament. You go from talking about crime or things like that and health care and all those sort of things at the state level, and they want you to start talking about what matters at that more granular grassroots level. What are the roads and rubbish collection looking like? What's the water and sewage looking like? What's your plan for the city? What's your plan to improve the people's lives that live in that ratepayer base? And who's going to, what are you going to do to make sure you keep rates low?
Yep. Because to be honest, from the out looking in towards your campaign, it looks like a political campaign. Like Nick for mayor, like you've got it gone out. Full hog, trailers, posters, core flutes. Everywhere I look is Nick Demet.
Well, this would be my 4th election campaign that I've run in. So I know how to run a campaign. I've also know you need to put planning into whatever you do. So I haven't just thrown my hat in the ring here, Wildy. I've actually put all the chips in. I'm putting it all in for Townsville. And so that means putting my best foot forward. And I've got a lot of early support, and I really thank everybody that's either rung, sent a message or got in contact. But they also want to see you run that race all the way to the end. And I'm not just throwing my hat in the ring here, I'm putting it all in. And that means I'm going to make sure Townsville knows what their options are when it comes to voting for mayor this time round.
And when you walk in that council chamber, if you do win, how are they suddenly going to look at you and go, yep, that's the leader, we're going to follow him, whatever he does?
I think people look at how you've operated before and look at your past and say, that's someone that I could follow. You know, I've been able to lead in my state seat of Hinchinbrook. I've been able to demonstrate working with all three levels of government. I've had a lot of experience, not only at the state level, but also interacting with regional mayors for the last 8 years. I've always said you can't get anything done alone. And I'll still remember that I'm only one vote if I'm lucky enough to get the vote of the people of Townsville. I'm still one vote in that chamber. So it's not about telling people up there, because you haven't got the legislative right to tell any of those councillors what to do. It's actually illegal to do that. But what you need to do and demonstrate is that you can work with those people up there to get things done in the best interest of the city.
Now we have 9 candidates running, which is a huge field really. Everyone's claiming independent. Are you truly independent? Do you still have connections with Katter Party?
Yeah, so I've actually stepped down from the Katter Party. I've resigned as deputy leader. That was a big thing for me. And I also have handed in my ticket. I'm no longer a member of the Katter Australian Party. People will still follow me because of the values I hold and the things that I hold true to my heart, and that is building North Queensland. I want to see the infrastructure necessary to see Townsville become the capital of North Queensland and hold that title as it deserves.
Well, mate, it's a tough road ahead. We will find out with the postal vote who will lead our great city, which is Townsville. Will it be Nick Demet?
You know, I want to be the next Mayor of Townsville because I want to lead this city into pride and prosperity once again for the next 10 years and even further if the people back me. I want to be the leader that takes Townsville to the next level.
Well, Nick Demet, thanks for giving me 5 minutes of your time.
Cheers, Wildy. Thank you.
Bud. It's Wildy spending 5 minutes with Chris Pollson, mayoral candidate. How are you, mate?
Great, thank you, Wildy, and yourself.
Excellent. I'll just start our little 5-minute timer.
Certainly, long enough for a one-horse race, isn't it?
It is. Now we've got 9 candidates, all independent.
Yes.
You are one of those candidates.
Yes.
Are you truly independent?
I am truly independent. It's me, myself and I doing the campaign. I don't have major sponsors, political parties or any money behind me. It's the love of the city that's behind me. That's why I've ran for the mayoral candidacy.
So how do you think you can drum up enough support or get enough people behind you to go, okay, yeah, we know or we've heard of this guy, to get the support needed to become the mayor?
5th generation here in Townsville. I've never seen the sense to leave. I've worked in both the trade sector, mining, construction, engineering, FIFO, Dido, local on major projects, as well as down the road here with Suncorp, 18 years there as a financial planner. A lot of clients that I dealt with financially, I believe my name is still good around town. Plus we've got a Thai restaurant here in town that we operate as well. So the public, I'm always in front of the public, pushing my name and running as best as I can.
So how do you think you'd go as Mayor of Townsville?
The bulletin tagged me as the unknown underdog. I hope to be more known. I don't hope to be the underdog much longer. I hope to be the choice for mayor, and my impartiality I think would be a good thing in the council, considering past issues that we've seen within the council. They've cost us dearly.
So how do you think you go walking into the chambers, the council chambers on day one with the current councillors? Here's the new guy, he's going to lead us. How do you think they take to that?
Not much different to leading as a supervisor on some of the sites I've been to. I've been handed a crew of up to 18 people to manage, to supervise, to lead. Big believer of vanguard leadership, so I lead from within the crew, within the team. I don't stand out the front and dictate. I don't stand behind and say you must do that. We're part of a team, and I think that's what the council needs, is some cohesion right now to show that they are working as one and pull this city out of where it was and take it forward. And
some of the biggest issues facing Townsville people at the moment, the council can control, what do you reckon they are?
We've got water. We've got our pipeline that's sitting in limbo. We've got waste. We've got our road management. Parking can be directed, I believe, not police, but directive. There's more we're going hub-centric, so we've got a lot more shopping centres that people are migrating to rather than coming to the CBD. The CBD needs to be that, a central business district where professionals work. After hours it can be boutique cafes, retail, restaurants where deals are done, people socialise, and the nightlife.
Yep. And what do you think people from down south at the moment, what do you think they think of Townsville?
The people from south look at us and they see us a little bit in disarray. They believe that we can be the capital of North Queensland. We should be the capital of North Queensland. Great place to come to. People coming through, say, our restaurant, they say, it's paradise here. Why isn't it more this, that or the other? They're asking the questions, but they believe it's a great place. People as far south as Melbourne are coming up and say, this is a great place to live.
So obviously we need to continue the trend of building. You would have seen so many changes in your time in Townsville. Well, what do you reckon's been one of the best changes for Townsville?
Best changes for Townsville. The Strand has been a bonus. However, we need to possibly pull back from the Strand and perhaps focus more towards our Ross River corridor. We need to bring the dam to the foreshore. That's a corridor. It links the western suburbs to the eastern suburbs. It's a ribbon that brings the whole city together, and I think a Ross River corridor would be more beneficial, more healthy, bikeways, parklands, etc. along the Ross River corridor, controlled fishing, leisure activities on Ross River as well. Yep. So it's a much larger spread of water than what we have down at the Strand. You've got sharks and stingers in the Strand, and of course they're going to say crocodiles.
Well, there it is. That's the 5 minutes. Goes quick. Chris Pollson, thanks for having a chat.
Thank you.
Today I'm catching up with mayoral candidate Amarie Greeny to spend 5 minutes with. Thanks for joining me.
Pleasure, Wildy. Happy to.
Well, I should say actually Councillor Amarie Greeny, acting Mayor of Townsville at the moment. So you want to go from acting to being the mayor.
Yeah, I do. It's been a very interesting ride, if you want to call it that, Wildy, over the last 10 months, and being a councillor is great. Really enjoy it, but stepping up into the role of deputy mayor and then acting mayor, it is a lot more strategic, and you become involved in probably, and I guess it's just the normal way to do it, in more sort of high-level discussions about where we're leading the city and where we want to be going forward. I think Townsville's a great city, livable city, and I think just talking to someone before, what we've got here is fabulous, and what we need to do now is enhance what we've got.
So do you believe you are the person to lead the council?
Yeah, absolutely I am. I've been a councillor, and it's interesting, I have been on both sides of council. I worked at Townsville City Council from 1998 through to 2009 as a special events and protocol officer there. Yep. And it was I know the fundamentals of council, and I've been involved in a lot of projects. We did the Strand opening. I mean, that was a turning point for Townsville with the opening with the opening of the Strand. And then I left in 2009, but I've always liked that local government thing, and I ran in 2012 and I was unsuccessful, and I still, it's like winning or losing a grand final. You've got to keep going, and I ran again in 2016, and I have been a councillor ever since then. So for want of a better term, when I got into council, I knew where the tea and toast room was, sort of to speak. So I knew the machination of how council works.
Yep. So we've got 9 candidates running, all as independent. So are you truly an independent?
Yeah, I've never belonged to a political party in my life. So, I did run with a team previously, and, you probably get, I guess, you hitch your horse to a certain wagon, and you get labelled that. But yeah, I've never belonged to, if someone can say to me, show me your Labor membership card or your LNP membership card, I couldn't do it. So I don't.
Well, you've currently got a seat at the table, so you do know, what's moving forward for Townsville, or what's coming up. What do you believe is the most important thing for Townsville,
I think at the moment the most important thing for Townsville and probably the region is our housing crisis that we have, and looking at ways that we can help alleviate that. I have been down at the Local Government Association conference, and we've been talking about, it's not just Townsville, it's, you know, across the state, it's the nation, this housing crisis, and what we look at doing in terms of modular housing, you know, and on top of that, we actually have defence coming in to our city, so we have more people coming. What are we going to do in terms of that, you know, that housing crisis situation? So I think that's one of the biggest things. There are a lot of, you know, other things, but I think that's probably one of the key ones.
And if you're unsuccessful with being the mayor, how are you going to feel if someone new comes in and they become mayor? It's like at a workplace when you've got the new worker comes in, you go, oh, come on, we've been here ages, you know.
Well, it's an interesting question because, you know, when the term of 2024, you know, the new council term started, we had 6 new councillors. And I remember one councillor sort of saying to me, why are you helping me? It's like, because I don't want to see you fail.
Yep.
Like, we're here to represent the city. And that's probably at the core of why I do it. You know, I love my job, and you know, everyone who's in a job, you know, there's pros and cons to it. But yeah, if I lose, I will be really sad. But I will certainly help the person that. There's no point in not sharing the information.
And obviously, yourself and Paul Jacob are in that situation where you're running to be mayor, but if you're not successful, you still do stay on as your councillor.
Yes, I do. Yeah,
as your division councillor.
As a division councillor for Division 3, best division in the city.
What's the best thing of the city now?
There's some really exciting stuff happening in the city. You know, we've seen the Cowboys Leagues Club by our Ogden Street car park. There's probably a lot of things, unfortunately, that I can't sort of, you know, because they're still sort of in confidential, and I don't want to come out and say, oh, this is happening, and then it, you know, falls over or whatever. But yeah, some really exciting things. I announced this morning that we're looking at putting a playground in the CBD for young families, is trying to activate those sort of spaces. You know, the CityLink building, we've got autos probably going in there. So and we've got, you know, the building in Walker Street, looking at greening that sort of road. So yeah, just as I said, it's all about enhancing what we have already.
And what do you think about the postal vote?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. Actually, I'm probably glad I don't have to man 40 polling booths. That's a big task to do. So I urge people to actually study the candidate that they want to represent the city going forward, and to make an informed decision and pop the vote back into the envelope and see what happens.
Well, Townsville City Councillor and Acting Mayor Amarie Greeny and mayoral candidate, thanks for having a chat.
Thanks, Wildy. Appreciate it.
This morning I'm spending 5 minutes with Councillor Paul Jacob. How are you?
Good, thank you, Wildy. Good.
Now, you've put your hand up. You want to be a candidate to be Townsville's next mayor. You've been the deputy mayor before. You've been a councillor before. So why put it up again this time?
Yeah, well, I've also acted in the mayor's role as well as the deputy mayor. It's because I really do enjoy being a councillor. And being a councillor can involve being the deputy mayor. It can involve being the mayor. And even when I was sitting up in the mayor's spot, acting mayor for about 7 or 8 weeks, I did actually enjoy the job.
But you did step down from being deputy mayor.
I did step down from being deputy mayor. There was a series of circumstances that I did stand down in, and the councillors have the final vote. So it was really up to the councillors to say, you know, do we still want Paul in that position, or do we want somebody else in that position? And they decided.
So how would you go about, if you became mayor this time, having the support of the councillors now?
Look, I have a lot more support of the councillors now, because since that occurred in, I think it was November last year, I've got to know all the councillors. All the new councillors have been in 12 months since then, and we've established a really good relationship in the chamber and also working together. So I don't think I'd have any problems. The problem with the first one was the fact that I was voted in on a 6-5 vote, managed to be there for about 8 months, but it was just one of those things where when you're in those positions, you can expect the councillors to want to do something different.
Now, the public are expecting a lot from the council because we've had a pretty tumultuous 18 months. So they want a path forward. They want to see, Townsville on a growth spurt and things like that. So what can you offer if you become Townsville's next mayor?
Well, the first thing I'll offer is that we go ahead with those two projects that have been delayed. That's the Horton Pipeline and it's also Lansdowne. Horton Pipeline is really important to me, even though because I was the chair of Water and Waste between 16 and 19, but it secures Townsville's water. So events or capital things that are happening now are the ones that I want to finish. And I don't want to start anything new until we work our finances out, because as you know, the community know that it's been a tough time for this council with certain events. I didn't vote for the Strand parking because I love the Strand. I want everybody to enjoy it. I didn't vote for the delegations to the CEO. And I also didn't vote for this new ecotourism where you can just go to council with your plans and it doesn't go to community consultation. So I'm really looking at what the council are doing, and that's what I want to do, Wildy.
So, Paul, as you said, if you become the mayor, do you think that you said all the councillors were working well now, so you think moving forward that is going to stay that way with a new mayor in place?
It has to stay that way. Yep. We've been through hell and back in this last year and 3/4, and all the councillors realise that because of the events that have taken place. The councillors, I believe, will support me, and that's all of the councillors as a mayor. I mean, we won't necessarily vote on the same things the same way, but they will support me to have a stabilisation that we need in council.
9 candidates. That sort of surprised me that we have so many candidates running this time around. I suppose because last time they saw what happened with only 2 candidates. So 9, that's a big ask, and maybe, we might split the vote a bit.
It definitely will split the vote.
Yep.
And especially with postal voting and being optional preferential, it'll definitely split the vote. This is the first time I think we've gone to a mayoral election as postal, and we didn't have much time to do this. I think they've all got to be in by the 15th of November. So really, when you think of it, by the time people receive those posts and everything like that, people will see faces and names on that, and they won't have a clue who they are unless they've already got a bit of a profile, like being a councillor, being a chair, being an acting mayor, and it's going to be difficult for them.
Now, Paul, why did we go the way of postal vote? I know you guys had to vote on it, whether we go to the ballots or postal. Why was that?
It was voted in by council, and I can tell the listeners that I did not vote for postal. I voted to have a normal election with a normal pre-poll, people handing out, because that day itself is really entrenched in what we do in the voting system. So I did vote against it.
So if you become mayor, that will trigger another by-election in your division, though?
It will. It'll trigger a by-election in Division 1. Because what happens with a councillor for the first 4 years is the first year and is the candidate who came second will be the councillor. Years 2 and years 3 have to go to a vote. Year 4 can be appointed by the council. So this will be in year 2.
Councillor Paul Jacob, thanks very much for spending 5 minutes with Wildy.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Mayoral candidate Joanne Cune, thanks for giving me 5 minutes of your time. I'm going to set the stopwatch on 5 minutes. Let's have a chat.
Great. Thank you very much, Wildy.
Straight into it. Why? Why do you want to be Townsville's next mayor?
Well, number one, there was nobody I would vote for. And number two, I received huge amount of pressure from my diverse community, who indeed asked me to stand and encouraged me, because I have been at this and shown my community service for the last 40 years in Townsville. And so I decided the time has come. And I was a little inspired indeed by some billboards I wasn't very happy to see in our city, and some change that's definitely got to happen.
The thing that blew me away, you actually told me about it, I'd never delved into it when we chatted on the radio, was that you could just go in to the Electoral Commission, pay $250 and bang, get your name on the ballot. And that's the thing, an independent doesn't need to be vetted, but someone going through the party system does. So we've got 9 people all running under the independent banner for this election to be Mayor of Townsville, and yet no one's been vetted. So $250, bang, you could be our next mayor. What qualifications?
I feel highly qualified, primarily in my action and service commitment. But if we want to talk about education, I've actually just finished my master's and just discovered the last 2 years of work I got a distinction. So I'm very happy about that. That's a Master's of Education. So I'm going through registration as a teacher right now. I'm a lawyer admitted with the Supreme Court of Queensland, and I have a Bachelor of Arts degree. I've done urban planning with Griffith University. I've completed the affiliate directors course through the Australian Directors Program. So I feel very qualified with that. But I think that past education, it's truly about our experience, our impact and effectiveness, more so than necessarily just a university education.
Obviously, we've got some councillors that have been in there for a while now. How do you think they'd take to you if suddenly you were mayor and they had to, take your direction? How do you think that's going to work, that dynamic?
I'm very excited about that, and I look forward to working with the councillors. I think that the last 2 years has been very traumatic for them, and it's time to get that council back on track. I wear this little gold flying pig on my lapel. It was given to me by Bob Sewell at the Scripps Institute in the United States, where I lived and worked for 15 years, because the wonderful Port of Townsville Rotary Club, and I hail out to every service club out there, and if you're not in one, you should join one. But they sent me to the United States to complete, that's another degree I didn't mention, but anyway, a Masters of International Business and Marketing at Golden Gate University. But I was working on a fantastic 140-foot US Coast Guard buoy tender that I did all the legal applications to convert to an expedition vessel, and we wanted to take a major Scripps Institute vessel over for research around Hawaii and mapping of the oceans. And Bob said, there is no way that you can pull this off, Joanne, no way. And when we completed it 7 months later with 30 scientists on board the ship, he came to me and gave me this gold pig, and he said, you have made a pig fly. So I have been accused of that at many times during my career. So it's about facilitation, Wildy. It's about bringing diversity together, always compromise. So working with all the blocks in our city to compromise to get this city back on track.
And the most important things facing Townsville, that the must-dos if you got in.
Well, I really don't think it's spending more money on the Strand, quite frankly. We're flat out paying the $6 million budget to maintain it each year. So whoever's suggesting that, I don't think understands the priorities in this city, and maybe should do a bit of a walk down Flinders East and West, because I grew up in that little street and partied in it as a teenager, and it's disgusting. I recently had Henry and Margaret Reynolds that I hosted and took from a meeting to dinner, the Japanese dinner restaurant and it was embarrassing to walk through that mall. I realise now, finally, there's a little bit of action. Great move by the Cowboys Club to indeed buy some parking, critical. But there's a lot more that we can do there. But I think truly, Wildy, even on my run this morning, talking to 2 old guys fishing, it's really time to get back to basics. We're driving through potholes, our lights seem not synchronised, sewerage over at Magnetic Island is in people's backyards, the Sooning Bridge has been out for a year. What's happened to the pipeline? Indeed, 6 years sitting there and no progression. We've got core roads, rates and rubbish issues to take care of.
Joanne Cune, thanks for spending 5 minutes with me, and all the best on becoming Townsville's next mayor.
Thank you very much, Wildy. Thank you.
This is Wildy, and I'm spending 5 minutes with mayoral candidate David Kippen. I'll put the little time on. Morning, David.
Morning, Wildy.
Mayor, you want to be mayor. Why did you decide to put your hand up?
I've seen what's happened over the last few years, particularly over the last 12 months, and I'm disgusted and I'm angry, and a lot of people are angry. So you can sit at the barbecue and whinge and bitch about it, or you can put your hand up and say, well, I believe I can do something about it. So that's what I've done.
So what do you believe you can do about it?
Well, you need to restore leadership and pride to this city. We've lost the pride because of all sorts of things. There's, the city's tired. It needs a lift, and certainly there's an issue with crime. And whilst we don't have a direct input onto that, we can certainly advocate and support the state in the actions that they're doing, and get feedback from the community. What do you want to do? There's lots of suggestions, good suggestions out there. We need to field them and farm them to the state government and say, this is how we can help you to help us.
And obviously, you're no stranger to Townsville. You've been here many years, done many jobs, one being the boss of Tel, so you know how important it is. Big projects, big business, hand in hand with the Townsville City Council. So do you think that will put you in good stead?
Well, I know it will. I'm very confident that my background will put me in good stead to be able to provide that sort of leadership. And, the one thing about, proposals is that you read them from the back to the front, because the front's all about the selling and the back's all about the tricky bits. So, I've reviewed thousands of them over the years. So I believe I can help councillors to better make better decisions.
Speaking of the councillors, how do you think, if you are elected mayor and you walk in with the current councillors, how do you think they'll take to you as in, okay, here's the new mayor?
Well, I hope they respect the fact that I have a solid background, and that I respect that they all bring something to the table. So no matter who it is that's elected, I don't have control over that.
Yep.
I have to deal with the people that are there. But everyone's got skills to bring, and we gather those, put them into a bucket, and where I can add my background and experience and talents, we put all that in there and make the best decision possible. That's where I think I can add value.
Now, in the ballot the other day, unfortunately, you pulled out number 9. So if you're in the Melbourne Cup, wouldn't be the best number to pull out. So how do you think you'll go with number 9?
Well, it's just a number.
Yep.
And people who are watching, and I implore the voters in Townsville to think carefully about their vote.
Yep.
Look down that list, and if they want good leadership and they want pride back in the city, and they want the experience that I offer, then I hope they vote one David Kippen.
Now, with the one, what people don't understand a lot is you can just actually put next to your name and then leave all the other boxes empty. Because people often go, oh yeah, but they're going to preference this person or that. That's only if you follow a how to vote card. Mm-hmm. The power is in people's hands, so it's up to them who they vote for. And I'll just be putting a 1, because to me it gets a bit messy with the whole preference thing. Well,
it does, but the democracy is wonderful, and it allows you to make that decision. And if you find it's too complicated, then just put the 1 beside the person you think will do the job. And if you want to run the preference tally, well, then you go down and pick out who's second, third, fourth, and so on. But it has been confusing, and we're asking the voters to vote in some electorates or divisions here. We'll have to vote twice.
Yep.
And depending upon who gets elected, they might have to vote a 3rd time. So people are getting sick of voting.
So 9 mayoral candidates, that's quite a big field. With each and every candidate brings different skill set. But once again, you've had that experience, you're known in Townsville. That's got to mean something.
Well, that's what I'm putting to the
Yep.
voting public is
Yep.
that I've got a hell of a lot of experience and love for this city. And my job at Tel was, I used to say to people, that it's the best job in the world to wake up every morning and your role is to sell your own city.
Yep.
Who gets that privilege? I had it.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I didn't quite see the end. So I've got a lot of unfinished business that I wanted to do when I was at Tel that I hope to do as mayor.
And most important things you think that Townsville needs, sooner rather than later?
Needs a steady head and a head that knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm offering.
And what about actual infrastructure and things like that? What do you think is the most important?
Well,
no, you can answer that.
Water's a big one. A lot of people don't understand where the water situation is, and we need to clarify what's to be spent, what monies we have to spend on it, and where we're spending it. So I use the same philosophy as I've done in business for 40 years, and that is you gather all the information And in the case of councils, I don't think councils seek information enough from the voters themselves, from the community themselves. So a big part of what I'll do is to set up a structure where we have input from the community as to what we're spending their money on. They're paying good money to the council to make good decisions. So let's get their ideas on issues. And water is still a huge question mark over, and it's a big issue for us, as we all know, when it comes time to in the dry season.
Absolutely. Well, mayoral candidate David Kippen, thanks for spending 5 minutes with me.
My pleasure, Wildy.
Let us know in the comments if these videos have helped, shape your decision, or you've learnt something about a candidate you didn't know. And don't forget to join me weekdays and Wake Up with Wildy from 5:30 a.m. on Power 100.